afternoon and welcome to another one in our series of educational technology lessons. And we are still dealing with the chalkboard. The last video, we dealt with what the chalkboard was, what the uses were, and what the benefits of the chalkboard were. In this class, we're looking at the problems of the chalkboard. What problems do we have in using the chalkboard? There are basically three limitations we'll look at, but these three limitations can be broken down into more than 10 problems. And what are those limitations? The chalkboard does not give us any permanence. It emits chalk dust. It is difficult to use. What do we mean by the chalkboard not giving us any permanence? That means whatever is written on the chalkboard does not last for a long time. The same advantage which the chalkboard has, that is being able to reuse it over and over, is also a problem for the chalkboard. Because when we write, we clean, that means whatever information we put on the chalkboard does not last for a long time. It doesn't. In a 40-minute class, we probably clean the chalkboard like 3 or 4 times or even more. And that is a problem, because if there was anything our learners wanted to go back to, maybe they have questions on a particular thing that is written, then they can't go back to it once we remove it. So it doesn't have permanence because we keep cleaning it. Then the chalkboard emits a lot of chalk dust. And this is particularly with the blackboard, emits chalk dust. When you use the chalkboard and you're wearing a black suit, imagine you're wearing your best suit, you're going to have dust all over your body, all over your hands, especially when you're wiping it off. When you're wiping it off, you're going to have those issues. Then we say the chalkboard is difficult to use. And people wonder, why is it difficult to use? Is it not just to write and clean it off? No. There are a lot of things we do wrong when we use the chalkboard. A lot of things we do wrong. One of the most common problems I see, especially dealing with students, is leaving another teacher's work on the chalkboard. Or maybe like in primary school, they are the same teacher, they leave the work on the board. You're teaching mathematics, but your chalkboard has English content, it has civic education. So which of those subjects are you teaching at that time? Please do not leave other people's work or work from another lesson on your chalkboard. And if you ask a lot of people, what is the purpose of the chalkboard? The most likely answer they will give you is to copy notes. That is a wrong use of the chalkboard. You're not supposed to be copying lengthy notes on the board. Like you have a 40-minute class and you use the time to copy notes for your students. What time do you have to teach? What time do you have to teach? The lesson time you have in the class is for teaching. You define things, you explain things, use examples to explain those things, put up illustrations. But if you use that time to copy lengthy notes, then you're not teaching. The chalkboard is not for copying notes. is for putting chalkboard summary, important points, dates, names that you want your learners to remember. A lot of us have chalkboard that is unorganized. In one of the pictures in this video, you see a blue chalkboard that has all kinds of things on it. When you write from the beginning of the top of the chalkboard to the bottom, from left to right, write all kinds of things. What are your learners taking home? There's no point of emphasis. Organize your chalkboard properly so that as the students look at the board, they know which content belongs to which topic. Then we write too many different things because we are not organized. Sometimes our writing on the board is illegible. That means your students can't see what you write on the board. It's not legible because it is too small, too faint, or you're just signing things. A lot of us, you tell us to sign our signature with scribbled things that people don't see. That's exactly how a lot of us write on the chalkboard. When we write on the chalkboard, it's for our learners to see, not for them to wonder what we write. Because that thing we don't write properly, they will copy it down. Sometimes they don't have the guts to ask us what we wrote. Whatever you write, they think you have written, they are going to take it down that way. So please write what your learners will see. A lot of us say medical doctors have bad writing. But if their writing is so bad, why do you think the nurses see what they write, the pharmacists see it, and other doctors see what they write as well? They don't have bad writing. They are writing so that we don't see what they write. So they can have their own special shorthand. Because if they tell you, if they write what you will see, anytime you have a similar problem, you go and buy that medicine and drink. A lot of us do that in Nigeria. So they write things that you will not see, but other medical professionals will see. But as teachers, when we write, we want our learners to see what we write. So we cannot afford to sign things on the board. A lot of us paint words on the board. The chalkboard is reusable. That means that if we have written something and it's not clear, or for some one reason or the other we've made a mistake, what do? We wipe it off, we clean it off, and we write that thing. But a lot of us don't do that. You write things that your learners do not see because you've painted the word. Maybe you want to write A-E-A-T and you mistakenly write A-E-T. The most sensible thing for you to do as a teacher is to wipe that thing clean and write the E-A-T. But a lot of us will go now, correct the A to E, and then correct the E to A. And you'll be surprised, a lot of the students copying what you've written there are going to write that thing that you refuse to clean. So if you look at their books afterwards, you see they've written a lot of rubbish, especially children in the junior classes. Still, another problem we do is by exposing work that we have not come to. Maybe because as a teacher you can't draw, you get somebody to draw something for you. You want to use it later in the class. And then you use one part of the board and then the other part is still there. What do? You should cover that part that you have not gotten to. If you don't, what happens? Throughout the class, your students are going to keep looking at that thing and they'll be distracted by it. So you don't do that. You put up illustrations at the time you need it, or if you have it there, you cover it up. Or you use other forms of board. That's why we'll go on to look at the other forms of boards we can use in certain situations. In that case, we'll be using like electronic copyboard that has 2 pages. But if you have put up something, please cover it up so that it doesn't become a distraction to your learners. Another thing I notice in the classroom, a lot of teachers do it, especially practicing teachers. They write content and then they want to give assignment or questions at the end of the lesson. The content that has the answer is still on the board, and then they ask the question or they write it on the board. What do you expect the learners to do? Of course, they will read that thing that you have there back to you. Does it mean they have learned? No. It simply means that they know how to read what is on the board. Before we ask a question with the answer on the board, we should first wipe the board clean so that when our students give us the answer, we know that they are giving us the answer because they have understood the lesson, not because they know how to read what is on the board. Finally, we should not write and talk at the same time. If you're writing, don't talk. If you're talking, don't write. Write before you talk or talk after writing. When you talk and write at the same time, you're backing your learners. A lot of times they don't hear what you say because the chalkboard is mumbling what you are saying. So we have all these problems with chalkboard. So how do we use the chalkboard effectively in the classroom situation? Irrespective of what chalkboard we use, write legibly. Legibly means write clearly. Let your learners see clearly what you write on the board. Make your words big, bold, and clear. Do not sign things on the board for your learners because they can't decipher what you sign there. Write important points, what we call the chalkboard summary. We have an illustration in this lesson, chalkboard summary. We have where we have a whole lesson full of work and the summary. Remember, when you're using the chalkboard in the classroom, you are in the class, you are teaching. Those things you're copying as notes is what you're teaching. So you do not have to write everything. Just give them the summary. And some people will ask, but the students need notes. No, they have textbooks. Some schools, children have up to 2-3 textbooks in one subject. If they can copy the notes, they can also read their textbooks. Use the class time to teach and give them important points. Write important points, new words, difficult words, names, dates, things you want to emphasize in the class on the chalkboard. Use the chalkboard to put up illustrations. Use the chalkboard to put up illustrations. Remember, in talking about visuals, we talked about, in the previous class, we talked about iconic and digital visuals. When we use iconic visuals, our learners can identify those things easily. When we use digital visuals, when we write words, a lot of times our learners might not even understand what we're talking about. So let us use iconic visuals, which have to do with what? Illustrations, pictures, drawings, diagrams. Then, please, for point of emphasis, cover up work that do not need at the time or put up work when you need it. Do not talk to your board while writing. Wipe the board at the beginning of the lesson. When you get to the classroom, wipe your board before you do anything. Don't ask questions with the answers on the board. Remember, don't ask questions with the answers on the board. When you're using the board, don't stand directly in front of the chalkboard. Stand by the side so that the students, in case they need to jot things, will see what you write on the board. Thank you very much. This is our second of the series on the chalkboard. Remember to link up to our page regularly, exploring the educational field with Dr. Omieibi-Davids. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. If you do not comment, we do not know whether you're teaching right or wrong. Thank you very much. Ask questions also. Thank you.